Ready? Does it show? Okay. All right. Good morning, guys.
Hi.
How's it going, everyone? Everyone in the back. My name is Christian from Cinemaflight. And today, what I'm going to be talking about, just to give you a quick little overview, is a brief kind of market update from Cinemaflight and some of the things that we've been seeing going on in the industry in terms of how busy and how slow things have been, and what we've seen with the agents that even though things are slow now, what is keeping them busy. Also, this thing that I have in the center of the room over here is a relatively new, it was released from Zillow. If you're not already aware of Zillow 3D Home, Zillow 3D Home is essentially a direct competitor to Matterport. However, it's a lot more cost effective. And if you've ever had a Matterport tour shot for a property, it can just take an hour just for the Matterport. Really interesting about Zillow 3D Home. When we come through a property and do photos, video, a 3D tour, the drone shots and everything, we're typically there for an hour for everything, not just for the Matterport tour. What's really unique about Zillow 3D Home, when we shoot a house, my shooter John will go through and literally have the property finished. And it could be less than 15 minutes. And if it's a smaller house, it could be less than 10 minutes. Whereas with a Matterport tour, it could take over an hour. Another thing is with the Matterport tour, you have to pay a monthly fee to keep that tour online and active. So typically what agents will do is they will get a listing, they'll pay someone to do the Matterport tour, the listing comes down, and then that tour comes down. What's unique about Zillow 3D Home is that it's always online. There's no fee for it to go up. And technically you guys can shoot it for free yourself. The platform is a free platform to use from Zillow. However, not a lot of people want to invest in the equipment and then learn how to do it. So they'll hire a company like us to come through. And we're able to do it in literally less than 15 minutes. The value of this is that Matterport doesn't belong to Zillow. Zillow is the largest competitor in the room in terms of a listing marketplace where people go to when they're looking for properties. So what we have found based on shooting Matterport tours and then shooting Zillow 3D Home tours, if you watch the view count on it, like just real quick, I'm going to grab the mouse and pull up a listing real quick just to speak to this. Okay, so here's a property that we just shot in Wayne. So this is right in your backyard.
More about it. More about it. Okay.
Smile. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. So here's what Zillow 3D Home allows you to do that Matterport does not allow you to do. And the reason why I think you get higher views, saves, and just in general higher rankings with this is because it's Zillow's platform. What we have found based on shooting a Matterport tour and then shooting a similar property comp-wise in the same area, the Zillow 3D Home tour always ranks higher. It always ends up being literally in the top search when you put in a zip code. Another thing to look at here, and the main thing that I'm going over that's new from Zillow is Zillow gave us as a company this new map that we can use. And when we go into a house and we use this while we're shooting the 3D tour, we can also generate the floor plan. And the way that the floor plan works and how it's different from Matterport, a lot of people complain that Matterport is too cumbersome and that it takes too long to shoot a Matterport tour. It's expensive. And then also what gets added to Zillow is not necessarily what they thought. It's not very user-friendly and intuitive. Whereas with this, you can click on the 3D tour and the 3D tour is embedded directly to Zillow. And just like with Matterport, you can click and drag and look around and navigate amongst the property. But this is what's interesting. Over here, everything that you see over here is essentially the new feature from Zillow, where it incorporates a floor plan drawing, it gives the square footage, and people can just click on a point and easily navigate around. If you've seen Matterport, it's got that dollhouse thing where you literally have to move around a 3D model and try to interact with the floor plan of the property. Literally, we've heard it from the younger generation, the older generation of people. They're like, it's cool, but it's confusing. Versus with this, it's very straight and to the point, and you can just jump into the room that you want to go into, and it loads lightning fast. Another thing that we've heard from people is that Matterport tours if someone's looking if someone is looking at it on a mobile phone, which a lot of people do, a lot of people when they're browsing for a home, they've got the Zillow app, they're looking at it on their phone versus a desktop computer, and then that 3D tour is slow to load. So if you're spending money and investing money and you want these marketing assets to be working for you, then I'm just curious if you guys have ever asked a client, hey, when you were looking at it, did the tour load fast or what? Because if you do ask those questions, you'd be surprised at how many people, even though you spent the money on the tour, they didn't look at it because it was too slow to load. Whereas with this, if you guys, we sent you an email before this meeting, so everyone should have the email that has these sample listings. We've got 3 sample listings that are active right now. We've got 3 samples that are they've already sold. And the main thing that I just tell people to look at whenever they're, if you want to compare things, is so look at this real quick. 10 days on Zillow, 6,000 views, 224 saves. We've run tests of comparing if you just, let's say, do a listing and just take photos versus doing a listing and adding a 3D tour. The 3D tour adds a significant bump to the amount of views that you'll get in the first day alone. We have like this one, it's 10 days in now, but on day 1, it had 1,500 views. There's other properties that we shot, or if you go and look at comps, like we could close this out real quick and just look at other properties in Wayne and something similar in price. Let's see if this has a 3D tour. So look, 3 days on Zillow, 2,000 views, no 3D tour, no video. If you start to compare multiple listings and look at them, and or another thing that you can do, up here at the top, this is another thing that's interesting about Zillow 3D Home, and Matterport gets left out of this, is if you go to more, a lot of people, when they're browsing for a home, they can pick options like, oh, I want a house with 5 bedrooms. I want it to be on an acre of land. But if I'm not mistaken, it was about 2 years ago in the height of COVID that they ended up adding an additional filter option, which a lot of agents don't really pay attention to. And I just feel that this ends up being something that top producing agents use as a sales point when they're in a listing presentation. So if you look at this real quick, so we're looking at Wayne, okay? And now I'm gonna click, hold on, really quickly, let's see how many listings popped up. 65 agent listings is what popped up before I activate this filter. Okay, now must have a 3D tour. Oh, hold on 1 second. Oh, I think someone's using the mouse. Okay, so just to show you real quick, there's is she still using the mouse? Okay, so if I check off must have a 3D tour, and now let's go back and look. There's only 3 agents, only 3 out of those 65 other listings that decided, you know what? It's my fiduciary obligation to my client to do whatever I can to get them the most amount of views on Zillow, the most amount of saves, which could then translate into more buyers coming to look at the property. So what we have also seen is people hire us to just come out and do photos and hire us for our 185 package, but then they have to call us back again because now they're in a situation with their client where the client is like, wait, I just went to Zillow and I looked at some other properties that just recently hit. How come you just did photos for my listing? That listing has drone shots, it has a video tour, it has a 3D tour, there's a floor plan drawing, and that listing has been on for less time than my listing, and now it's got thousands more people. I thought you said you're doing a fiduciary obligation. Are you doing everything that you can for me? And then what do you do if you're in that situation? And we've seen it countless times. So what we have found is that the key is this is something that is new, and this is something that also has, I'm gonna pull up this page over here that we put together. So, and you guys will have all these links in your email, so you could reference it if you want to look at it. But there's multiple elements of value to Zillow 3D Home. It's fast to shoot, so we're not wasting your time and a client's time at a property. We can do it alongside photos, video, and drone stuff and be done in 1 hour. But here's the true value. The true value is that it literally directly impacts where your listing shows up on Zillow. If you just add photos, you will never rank as high as a listing that did photos and the 3D tour. Just by doing the 3D tour alone, you could significantly increase the amount of views and saves that your listing will get. And that's before you add a video. If you add a video, that's an additional cost. Also, if you do what we're talking about, the new floor plan feature, that's an additional cost. Just to show you some stats. So highlighting with special tags. When people are searching for things, they're able to specifically search using the filter option to find properties that only have 3D tours. You just saw how literally by searching Wayne and then searching for Zillow 3D, I'm clicking the filter option so that you only see houses that have 3D tours, they got cut down to 3. We've seen how there's a variety of top producing agents and teams. When they're in a seller's presentation, they bring that up. And they're like, well, before you decide to work with me, what about you ask any other agents that you may have been contemplating using if they're gonna do this? And then they typically present this whole plan, they show samples of what the listing looks like, and then they say, go look at all the other agents and how they represented their seller's listing. And then you decide whether or not you wanna use an agent like that, or if you wanna work with someone like me. And typically those agents are the ones that are taking the business away from other realtors that will say, the market's hot, or you know what, I'll just use my phone, I have the new iPhone, I'll go through and take shots myself. It's gonna sell if you price it up. So that is the potential top producer style agents and like what they do. Another thing is, okay, really quickly, and I reached out to Zillow for this to ask a question, so featured exposure in dedicated emails to buyers. So what's interesting about this is that even if you're not a Zillow Premier agent, if you end up, let's say, hiring a company like us to do this for your listing, the listing ends up being thrown into Zillow's internal marketing that they do. They send out, if you download the app and you create an account and you're keeping a list of properties that you're interested in, et cetera, Zillow could send out information specific to you. So what is interesting that we found out is specific to the 3D tours, it basically throws that listing into a bin where Zillow's like, hey, we're gonna send out promotional emails to people that may be interested in this. And the reason behind it is because Zillow's end goal is they want to give people the most amount of value when they look at a property. They want to ensure that they're giving them the most amount of info. They wouldn't have set up an area for you to add a video. They wouldn't have set up an entire platform that they built out for 3D tours if they didn't want you to use it. So if you do use it, you'll realize that you will notice a significant bump in where your listings rank in Zillow. And also, in terms of the cost, we charge a flat rate for everything. We've got a 20% off discount coupon code for your office. Like I said before, the shoot itself, for everything, photos, video, a 3D tour, the floor plan, it takes about an hour. Whereas other companies, it can end up taking an hour or more just to shoot the 3D tour alone. And then you spent the money on it, and once the listing comes offline, unless you decide to pay a monthly fee to keep that online, that 3D tour comes off. The top producing agents and teams that we work with, the reason why they love Zillow 3D Home is because every tour that we shoot is forever online on Zillow. Even though the listing may come down, you still will have access to be able to share and embed that tour if you have your own personal website. A lot of these teams that are, even in this slow time right now, killing it, are heavily promoting how they market a listing versus how other agents are not gonna market listing. And right now, what I will say is, so we work with a variety of different franchises and companies, and just a question for you, because what we've seen is that things have kind of slowed down in the market. What are your thoughts? Things still extremely busy for you guys? Have you noticed a slowdown at all?
Yeah, I mean, there's less listings, there's no doubt about it. You look at the numbers there, whatever it was 70, 80 listings maybe.
Yeah.
When I started with 450 listings.
Exactly. What I have been seeing is essentially it's like it has become the period of time where it's like the make or break moment for some agents. There are some people who just got into it because things were crazy hot at that time, but I don't think rates are going to be going back to the way that it was. So now I feel it is caused like the true players to kind of come out, and what we've seen and the knowledge that I can just give to you from having, we work with basically every franchise in terms of real estate. It's not just Keller Williams. It's slow across the board. However, the ones who are getting listings, like literally this week, we're going to be We have 3 shoots back to back for another list for one single agent, and this is an agent in which we do the majority of their marketing as well. So just to quickly touch upon, real quick, I think I've covered everything for the most part in regards to Zillow 3D Home and its value for you and how you guys can leverage it. Before I move on, do you have any questions about Zillow 3D Home? Have any of you guys ever used Matterport?
What are the packages look like?
So we have one package. I'll pull it up real quick. Okay, so our main package, just to preface. If you were to research other companies that do what we do, typically they will price based on square footage, maybe the amount of rooms that are in the house, or sometimes even the price of the house. We have one flat rate and it never changes. It could be a mansion, it could be a condo, it's always the same price. And it's based off of us expecting that when we get to the listing, it's clean, it's ready to go, and that our team can shoot on out and not be spending 2 or 3 hours at listing or helping you clean because it wasn't ready to go. Our whole goal is speed, efficiency. You'll have the photos the next day, the video in 2 business days. We have express options. If we shoot at 9 a.m. that day, you can have it before the end of the day, everything. It just depends on what you want to do. Also, this $595 package with a 20% off discount code that we've got for your office, it's KW Prosperity 2022, I think is the code. It's included in the email that we sent over. That drops this to $476. So that's photography, video, a 3D tour. The only difference is that we're updating this on the website just to include the floor. This whole thing that we just discussed now, floor plan feature is going to be included within that package. You do have the options if you want to just hire us for an individual thing, to just hire us for the 3D tour, or you just want photos, or you just want a drone shot, or only a video. We can do that. However, what we have just found is that if you do this entourage effect of items, photos, the video, the 3D tour, the floor plan, and drone shots, unless someone could brainstorm something else, I don't think that there's anything else that you could do other than maybe going around the town and filming a community video to include with it. But realistically, it's like, there's nothing that your client can come back to you and say, hey, how come you're not doing everything that you can do for me? And another thing is, it just justifies your value. I've seen a substantial amount of agents that will undercut their pricing to like 3%, even lower, just because they're gonna say, look, I'm gonna come through and I'll list it fast, I'm gonna take photos, I'm just gonna do what you need. Yet, there are teams that we work with where they charge solids, let's say the regular 6% or et cetera, some of them even more. But what they present is the whole list of marketing that they're going to bring in terms of representing the property. They show samples like this and give the comparison in real time, and then leave it for the client to kind of make an educated decision. And what we've seen is like 9 out of 10 times. And I've even converted, like there's numerous leads that I've converted myself, even though I'm not a realtor, because calls to our company, Cinemaflight, people will reach out to us and it could be a for sale by owner. And they're calling us because they want to hire us to do photos so that they could do their for sale by owner listing. And then I just question them real quick. I mentioned that on for sale by owner, you can't add these 3D tours and stuff like that. And then I get them in a spot where it's like they're ready to work with an agent. And I'm surprised at how many agents don't go after that. Because right now there's a substantial amount of for sale by owners. You can just drive around. Some of them, people are just putting out a sign and they're not even adding it to forsalebyowner.com. And just from doing that, I've been able to literally convince people to hear out some agents that I work with and give them a list and say, like, look, here's just so I'm not like being selective of a singular franchise. Here's a couple franchises, and I know that these people are some of the best people in the office. Go reach out to them. And it's hilarious how easy it is to convert someone who was adamant about, no, I don't want to pay a commission to a realtor. I don't want none of that. I want to have all the money in my pocket. But then when you break it down of who's going to do your open houses, who's going to be there for you, who's going to be answering all the calls, who's going to, if you're able to paint that picture and you tie in the, well, who's going to do your marketing? Because a lot of this stuff, you can do the photos for sale by owner, but you can't add all this intricate, the video, the 3D tour, the interactive floor plan. That's only on Zillow's platform. So do you really want to get the most amount of money for your house and pocket, you know, what you think you're saving by not working with a realtor? Because realistically, agents, they don't take their clients to go see for sale by owners. They'll stray them away from it. So that's another thing that we have found, and just a piece of advice that we've been seeing during the slow time is working for people, is targeting for sale by owner. So do you have any other questions about the 3D tour? I mean, the package?
Yeah, just to clarify. So you get so it's the 595, what do you call it, the 185 package or?
No, if you need it just photos only, we have a package where we come and we'll do photos and drone photos.
So what do we call this?
This, the full service package.
Full service.
Yep.
So then you get photos, floor plans, 3D tour, and the drone shot?
Photos, photos, video, 3D tour, floor plan, drone shots, those
When you
5
say
things.
Video, what do you mean, compared to the 3D?
I'll show you real quick. Pull up a sample. Okay, so just to show you a quick sample. I'm gonna mute the audio.
Is the video just where they stitch together the pictures?
No,
Oh,
no. Listen, you with us, you can tell we do all of Francesca's work from in your office. There's a couple other agents, but like typically what we do right now, it may be the internet that is playing back a little bit choppy like this. It should be playing back smoother. But this is drone video flying around the property. That thing there is an electric skateboard that we ride around on to get smooth shots when we can't be flying the drone. This is twilight shots. This is not included in the package. This is an add-on. If you want us to come back at night, we could do real twilight photography and get drone shots that show the property at night versus a lot of agents still use a company like boxbrownie.com. It's cost effective. If you need to save money, you could send, let's say, the daytime shot that we take, just the photo, send it to boxbrownie.com, and they can do the day to dusk transition. It's like $5 an image or something like that, but it's virtual. It's not real. So a lot of people can spot that it's like a fake day to night transition, but this is all, we film everything in real time. We get drone shots. You could be on camera. You'll see right now, this is a guy from Remax, and he's basically just giving a quick, hey, my name is so-and-so, welcome to the property address, let's go take a look. And then we transition to going inside. Typically, and what we do is we give you a branded version like this, where you could be in it. It began with that intro animation that has your contact info, but also we give you a non-branded version where it has no intro animation. We'll remove the shot of you opening up the door and speaking and replace it with a shot of just door opening empty. And then this way you have branded content that we add to Zillow for you, and then you'll have non-branded links that you can share directly to Zillow. When we film using a DSLR camera mounted on this gimbal thing over here. So these shots that you see are Jonathan or myself or someone else from our team walking around with this stabilizer. That's how we get the video inside. You could see there's a substantial amount of detail. You could see what's going on outside the windows, the detail of what's inside. And depending on what you want to showcase, we have a process where when we go through, you show us the property very quickly, we tour it in our heads, we figure out the path that we're gonna follow, and then all we need you guys to do is sit outside with the client. And then we're typically relatively fast in and out, and we get all these shots. But this is a sample of kind of what you get. I'm not gonna play the whole thing. I'll kind of just go towards the end. But it's basically just room to room of every single space, and then it ends with the drone shot outside again. Now it's playing back better. It's not full screen. Like it's supposed to be smooth like this. I don't know why it was choppy when I made it full screen. But it's essentially just, it starts with the front door, it goes through every single space in which you want to showcase, and then it will finish up outside. And depending on what we want to do, if it's a luxury property, we could do that daytime shots, nighttime shots, and help kind of glorify how things look. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and then the 3D tour,
The 3D tour is what I showed. So this property here, what you end up receiving is we give you a dedicated link in which, if someone were to click on it, it's gonna bring them
Then it
to,
just swaps it, right?
it's gonna bring them to this page. And now, if you look on the floor, like it says kitchen, it's gonna bring you to the kitchen. You could continue moving around in the kitchen. You could jump to the dining room. And you don't have to click on those buttons either. Like you could just click off into the center over here, and it's easy to move, especially when you're on a mobile device. And it's just nice having it set up where if you were to look at a Matterport tour, it's not this nicely laid out. And once again, just to reiterate, I feel it's Zillow decided they're gonna build out their own platform. Why, let's say another company dominate the 3D tour space when they're already the main real estate listing provider. So I feel they came out with it so that they're in control of everything. And then by using this, we have found that you rank higher when you're just feeding the beast with what it wants to be fed with, which is those 5 things: photos, video, 3D tour, drone shots, floor plan. If you give all of that, you will rank higher than a listing that is not doing that. And also, from a sales standpoint, it's crazy how many agents we've heard and how they talk, because like we do the photography for some people only, and we won't do, the full package, but then we'll question and we'll ask, like, how come you don't wanna do everything? Like, has your client ever called you out? And they're like, nah, we don't care about it. I want to do the bare minimum, save the money. It's gonna sell anyway. And these are the majority of the people that end up, we see listings expiring, and then another agent ends up getting that listing, or the same person calls us back and says, hey, my client, literally, I'm gonna lose the listing unless we do the rest of this stuff for the listing. So we've just found that if you do those 5 things in the beginning, the rest is up to you in terms of price, in terms of the level of customer service you're gonna provide someone, your sales skills. But if you do incorporate these things, it makes it so much easier to just win over the sale, because once you pitch it where it's like, let's just go look at other realtors and see what they're gonna do for you. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to help you sell your house. We're all gonna charge you a commission. Okay, so would you want to ensure that you're doing what you can to get the most amount of money for your property? Or would you just want to work with an agent that's just doing the literal bare minimum as to what they can do for you? So that's what we have found the value is when you pitch to someone. Let's say you don't have to call it the full package. You could say, hey, we have a team, or we work with a professional company for each of our listings. You could share a link to our site if you wanted to, but depending on how you want to pitch it, this adds a substantial amount of value. Any other questions before I move on? Really, I'm trying to see where we're at in timing. We have a half hour left. So any other questions before I move on to the next topic? All good? All good? All right. Okay, so quick question. As of right now, what do you guys do to get leads? What do you do to try and get new business?
Just chat with people
Chat with people?
everywhere.
How's that working for you?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's good to establish it. For me, I personally like having a relationship established face to face before just like calling.
Yeah.
Also, it's like sort of even my family and friends are pretty much.
Okay. Does anyone have their own website?
Yeah.
Is it the website provided by Keller, or is it your own brand where you run and manage your own Google AdWords profile and local seller ads and etc.?
So I have the Keller website, and then I also have like a personal site that's like my other stuff, and I'm like learning how to organize that and tie it into Keller Williams.
Okay.
But right now it's just like, again, like a mom of friends, like people, in your circle of that.
Anyone else have a website that they use, or you guys just utilize the Keller Williams, the command platform? Okay. So something to think about, like just to show you I'll show you a brief sample. We've helped produce footage and marketing content for this team, and I just feel that this is a good sample to bring up. So here's just a sample of a site that we helped set up for a Remax team. like with producing content, like video marketing content and etc. But essentially, what we have found is that a lot of agents do not showcase the story of who they are and what they do and why you should work with them effectively, all within one spot on a nice website that is indexed in Google. So this is an example of a site where you land on it, there's a looping background that shows you the team. It shows you that some of the team members are active firefighters, active law enforcement, but basically it's telling a story right off the bat, where it's like, look at the people that you're working with. It's a massive team. They care about family, but they're also, you know, not everyone on the team is in law enforcement and a firefighter. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because this is an example of a website that, in our opinion, helps drive business and traffic. And a lot of agents, they share a business card photo. They'll share, I hate to say it, but like stupid posts on social media. Yet the agents that share content that is of value, and then it drives them back to something like this, where now the client, they're not on a generic command thing that everyone's site looks the same. And also, nothing to badmouth command, but we've just found that it is limiting in terms of your SEO capabilities and what you can do with the platform to rank high on Google. You need full access to your website and control of things in order to do what is needed to rank high on Google. We've had phone calls and literally have been told from command, like, oh, that feature's not there yet. So just something to think about is that if you were to go to Google, okay, and then type in best realtor in Wayne. Best realtor in Wayne, NJ. Just think about like what, and that's another thing. Ask, if you have clients, ask them, hey, how do you find me? Or if you were going to search something online, what would you search? Because just think about this. What do you do when you're preparing to, let's say, go eat out at a restaurant? You're going to go get sushi. You're going to go get pizza. You typically pull out your phone. You type in Safari, best whatever, or look for reviews. So what I just find to be interesting is the sheer amount of agents that when you do this, don't care about that they're not showing up right there. That you're not showing up right here. And just to show you. So these are local seller ads. Have you guys ever heard of local seller ads? No? So what's interesting about local seller ads is that if you set this up and let's say set a budget of $500, you only get charged if someone calls you. There's other forms of advertising where if you set a budget, that $500 budget, let's say if you do ads on Facebook, you could literally, that budget could be exhausted just from people clicking. Whereas with this, if someone doesn't call, you're not being charged. So it's an interesting thing because it helps you get more direct calls and you don't exhaust your budget as fast. And what we have found is that you can put in a relatively minimal amount of money, depending on your area and how competitive it is, and get calls. And it's calls from people who could have just done a search like that, like best realtor near me. So another question for you guys is, have you ever thought about how you pop up when, or if you even do pop up when someone looks for you online, just because you're listed on an agent directory on Keller Williams site, or if you have a command site, that doesn't mean that you're popping. Like another thing to think about is, look at these sites here. Like who's popping up in the first search results when you search for best realtor? That's just another thing to think about, where if you don't have your own custom site, you could be losing out a substantial amount of opportunity on leads. And now that things have been slow, what we've seen is that the agents that don't do this level of marketing and they don't have a site, right now, stuff is extremely slow. But the agents that do all of this stuff, they're the ones that we've got 20 shoots in a month for the team. And, you know, it's in this market right now, even though a lot of other people are saying, oh my God, it's so slow. So I feel it's all a matter of your level of marketing and how in-depth you do. And then the last piece, which is just another thing that's mind-boggling to me, is the amount of people that either don't cold call themselves or hire a VA to do their cold calling, and then drive them back to a page like either that website or just something that speaks to, here's what I'm gonna do that 90% of other agents don't do. And what makes it easy in this market right now, I know it's a double-edged sword, but a lot of people now are trying to take the cheap route and just do photography. And it's leaving open the opportunity for these other teams. I see, like, literally, I see how a variety of these agents sell, and they are sharks, and they're literally taking away business from the people. Like, just imagine if you were someone looking to sell your property and an agent came to you and just gave this holistic pitch of everything that they're gonna do in terms of creative marketing, and then doing social media ads, and they've got a website that they promote things on. And now that client is educated. So let's say they haven't made the decision yet, and they speak with a family friend who's like, oh, I got my license, I can help you. But now they ask these questions, and then that agent is like, oh, I don't have someone that does all that stuff, or they're gonna have to start on the spot trying to figure out who am I gonna hire to do this stuff. So what we have found is that if business is slow, everything in which I sent in this email, there's another thing that we included. I included I had our team put together a Google AdWords kit. So literally, you'll have a link where you can download, it's a 15-minute long video. There's 2 PDFs that give you literally the breakdown of how to set up a Google ad and do all of these things in which I'm talking about. So if you have a website, the framework will be there as to what you can do to start trying to pop up in Google searches. Yes.
So do you guys provide the service to create the website?
We could build you a complete website from the ground up. We could do your marketing, and the value that we provide is that since we do the creative content, and we could help doing your website, and we can help doing social media and reels and TikTok content and all that type of stuff. What we have found is that a lot of agents, like, they're like, this is too much shit to learn right now. How am I gonna do all of this? And then they fail. Whereas if you either learn to do it yourself, which some realtors do, or you link up with a company that just you pick up the phone and you call Cinemaflight and you say, I got a listing. And then we can go, we shoot the listing, we produce all your content, we give you social media content, we can add it to your website for you, we add it to Zillow for you, and then you just track the stats and look at how many views it's getting, how many saves it's got, and just continue to grow your business. What we have found is that your time should be spent on the phone, sending people to pages that are like, preferably like the one that I showed you before, this sample website here. Sending a client to something where they're gonna be like, whoa, okay, let's learn more about what they do, and giving them the ability to either search for homes, get a valuation, and then showing, I mean, if you're not a part of a team, that's okay, but this is one of the main things that I feel a lot of agents don't do because it requires legwork. But once again, we do the legwork. There's some agents where if you were to, they're like, oh, I've been an agent for over 40 years. And then I say, what do you have to show for it? Can you show me all in one area? Your past listings, your sales, what have you done? I'm not talking about going to Zillow and seeing a shitty looking photo and it says sold. I'm talking about, I want to see the original content of how you represented that property. I want to know so I can tell. A lot of these agents and these top producers, they have dedicated portfolio pages and case study pages. It's not through the MLS, it's not through the IDX or etc. It's on your website. You have a case study, individual page for every single listing you've ever sold. And a history, the original photography, the original 3D tour, Zillow 3D Home, they don't charge you for hosting. So every single 3D tour that you ever shoot could be active. And now imagine being up against not even an individual, but being up against, there are teams out there that exist. And the way in which they sell themselves is they're offering all of this type stuff. So everything, let's say, within this package, yet you're not dealing with one person. You're getting access to a team. Like if I'm not available, you have, so I'm just trying to explain, a lot of people don't necessarily realize like the level of what you may be up against. And I feel that once you do understand it, then you can put a plan in place as to how you're going to try and do what these other teams that are successful are doing, what these other agents that are successful are doing. And it doesn't matter that things are slow. There's still business out there. And we are not realtors. We're just the people that get hired to go and do the shoots. And so far, this is what we've seen. So if you guys have any other additional questions.
The 20%, is that just an introductory thing, or is that whenever we put the back?
That's for this office. It's moving forward for this office.
How much is it for, like, do you charge for your services? I missed that part.
For the photo and video package,
Or seven.
the full package. So normally the package is $5.95 and you get 5 things: photography, a video tour, a 3D tour, a floor plan, and drone shots. And there's that's all for, normally it's $595, but we have a 20% off discount coupon code for your office. So that drops it to $476. And the price did not change based on the square footage of the home. So a lot of other competing companies that do what we do, it gets confusing because it's like, oh, it's this much square footage or whatever. Now it's going to cost this. Also, a lot of people don't package things in one package. It's multiple things, add-ons, and at the end of the day, to achieve, let's say, what you just saw for this would be over $1,000, whereas with us, that client spent $450 for that video. The only thing that was additional was the twilight shots. We charged an extra $250 to come back and take photos and then do video at night. So
Like probably $800 for stuff like that. And I have to say, when I first started, I used to get a lot of compliments on my photos. I spent a lot of money in the market, really slow back then. And I kind of got lazy with it, to be honest with you. Now it's the time that's on here, because now you have to do a little bit more. You don't spend less. You spend more. When things are slow, you gotta spend more, especially on stuff like this, because when you get the listing, you gotta sell it.
what I have found
Those things will start system.
is literally when you show someone on Zillow the fact that they could be cut out of the search by hold on 2 seconds. When people select this option right here to must have a 3D tour. So just to show you once more, because I think that it's pretty interesting and like impactful from a sales standpoint. If you're meeting with a client and you're saying, I'm going to do everything that I can for you, all the marketing to ensure you're going to get the most amount of money for your property. And what you can end up showing is literally just, look, the proof is on Zillow in the numbers. There's 65 active listings in Wayne. Let's see how many realtors truly cared about their client to do all the marketing that they could for them. And when you check off this box, must have a 3D tour, it literally cuts it down to 4 homes out of the 65, which is pretty crazy to think about. So just gonna see if there's anything else that I wanted to touch upon. The only other thing, just to throw out there, just because I know that there is a variety of people right now that do not want to spend a lot.
There's a question up there.
Oh. So in terms of the question that's on the screen from Miss Sanchez, I think, what we do is we can do some basic Photoshop work. However, typically what we do is we just refer people to boxbrownie.com. It is a company that is based in India, and you can send images to them and receive them next day. And literally it's like less than $10 an image to get certain things done. And they can do elaborate clutter removal. Like we've sent out images to people where we shot a basement and there was a tenant living down there and there was shit everywhere. And they were like, can you make it look like it's an empty room? And to us, we're like, oh my God, this would take hours to do, but send it off to boxbrownie.com. And then literally within 24 hours, you'll have the image back, and it looks realistic, and it was perfect. They were able to declutter a room and make it look empty. So to answer your question, we recommend boxbrownie.com. However, we can shoot the initial photos either as is if you need us to, or shooting an empty space if your end goal is to have virtual staging done. You could also send that off to Box Brownie. I think it's like $15, but they'll take an empty space and you could say, put a couch there, put a TV on the wall, put a plant there, or etc. And they'll virtually stage it, and it will end up looking very realistic. So what I will end with, just because I know that everyone wants to save money. So what we put together last year, and surprisingly not a lot of agents are using it because I guess they want to pay the full price for the package, which is okay. We call it the lender marketing program. Oh. Some homes are not optional for tours because of size, clutter, condition. What do you recommend? Oh, God, okay, I'm gonna pull up a sample listing right now. That we just shot, let me move this message window over real quick. Okay, 11 mud pond, and this I feel is a perfect scenario to answer this question. So this property here, I'm gonna put it on the big screen. Okay, so once again, to answer Sanchez's question, they said some homes are not optional, are not, I think they meant to say optimal for tours because of size, clutter, condition. What do you recommend? So my shooter over here, Jonathan, can tell you about this house. I hate to say this on camera, but literally the guy was a World War II like Nazi style guy. Like literally, there was Nazi helmets downstairs. Okay, we shot everything. And the reason why we shot everything is because at the end of the day, we can choose what will be showcased on the floor plan, I mean, in the 3D tour. But the reason why we shot everything is because the rooms that were cluttered and that had motorcycles in it, that had literally this war memorabilia and stuff that you would not want to be in the end photo, there's still the measurement information that you want to capture to be able to create this floor plan. So just to show you this property, and this one is like, when you go to look at it, you enter through the first floor and it does not look nice. Only when you get to the second floor does it look nice. We thought that this would not get a lot of views or it would only be investor friendly. Look at this real quick. 9 days on Zillow, 11,000, almost 12,000 views, almost 500 saves. Okay. And now what we did was creatively shoot around the shit. So, like, for example, underneath this deck, there's a bunch of clutter there. We didn't take a shot from another angle just because we tried to leave it out. The drone photos, they wanted to show that there's a lake over here, but this pool was empty. There's a purse parked next to the car, covered under the car. Like, you can't make this stuff up. But the second floor, when we got there, we helped move some things and declutter. There was still some stuff that was not ready to go, so we hid some things in closets. But the second floor, there's a broken window here, like just to show you, like a real world example of something that is not very nice. But look at how many views it has because they did everything. So there's a broken window here. Like it's literally, this is not a perfect listing, but the way in which we photographed it, we're able to make it look nice.
Does that become misleading though for buyers if when they go to the house and they're like, oh, this is actually way uglier in person than what you're photographing?
Well,
But some people can't look beyond the clutter. All they see is the clutter.
That's true too.
So-
Very true, yeah.
in this situation, hold on, let me see if we left some of the, like, this gives you an idea. We did leave some of the photos of the lower level, but like, it just to show you, there are some shots that we show that show the clutter and the mess, but we try to leave it out because you don't want to end up having too much clutter in the photo. It could detract people from coming to look at it. However, if it's not a crazy amount of clutter, like it's a little bit messy, we still recommend doing the 3D tour and showing everything. And the reason being is what you just said. The amount of times that people have gone, they see something, they think it looks nice, then they get in their car, they go, they set up the time, they take the time of the client, have their people get out of the house so that they go and look at the house, only to end up saying, shit, I didn't see this online. This is not what I thought. I don't like this. And then they've just wasted your time, they've wasted the client's time. So that's another area in which the 3D tours come in substantial value, like a stat that we have on here. And all this information, when you go to this link, it's not like I pulled this info out of thin air. Zillow sends us literally like a marketing kit. And I'm pretty sure Zillow also shares this stuff with you guys. But just in case you didn't receive it or whatever, we just made this simple page that puts everything there. But an interesting stat is that 10% of buyers said that they would never arrange to view a property if they had not seen the floor plans first. Because when they got there, all they saw was the initial photos that captivated them, but then they didn't see the layout and they're like, wait, the room's here, the bathroom's out, this ain't gonna work for us. So that is where this comes in handy, where someone can be looking at a room, clicking, dragging, interacting around, and have an understanding of where they're at on the floor plan. That's the value. So I would showcase as much as possible unless it's a crazy cluttered type situation, but I would still shoot it so that we could capture the measurement data and dimensions for the 3D tour. I mean, for the floor plan, but then you could just choose to hide whatever image you don't want to appear in the 3D tour.
If you run into a property with that sort of issue, is it still the same price? Typically for us, like.
It's same price. The only thing that we stress is don't have us show up somewhere and then last minute, like as we're getting ready to go and you're like, it's not ready. Can you help clean? You know, our goal is we can give you a
I'll
checklist.
show you one.
We can give you a checklist, and if you have everything ready to go in advance, basically just have all the lights on, follow our checklist that gives you recommendations as to what should be cleaned in the kitchen, in the living room, how beds should look. It's just a simple checklist. If you follow that and have all the lights on, and the homeowners can just either stay in one room or go away for, you know, an hour or so until we're back, go get coffee or something, go get lunch. It just allows us as a team of two to be on multiple levels at once, and literally one starting at the top, one starting at the bottom, we meet, and then in an hour, we're done. So the whole key is, if it is clean and ready to go, a shoot could take 1 hour. And even for a massive property, it could take 1 hour. A shoot could turn into a 3-hour ordeal if you didn't clean. And the sad part, and I don't want to say this, is that we are the type of people that if it's the first time that we're working with you and that type of shit happened, we'll bite the bullet. And if we didn't have a shoot scheduled immediately after, we'll help you clean stuff. We'll try to help get it ready. But in a perfect world, it should be ready to go before we get there, so that we can just get in, shoot, and then just leave.
So where do you guys work?
We are based right up the road. Our headquarters is in Totowa. We have another office in Soho. We have a building in Soho in the city, and then we have a remote office in Rockaway, New Jersey.
Go down Long Branch, Jersey.
It's not, as long as it's something that is not like a 2-hour trip, we're okay with like a 2-hour round trip.
We go as far as that. Thanks.
Yeah.
From others.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Pick the photos, but if I do, when I do the drone and I had all the other stuff, then it's probably $700-800.
so just to speak to that real quick, so with our discount that I just mentioned to you, that drops it to essentially the $476 for everything, okay? But another program that we put together is, we call it the lender marketing program. A lot of it, like for example, that there's a variety of teams and offices and agents that we work with where they link up with their mortgage professional, and then they say, hey, I've seen that you have spent $5,000 on a billboard in the past. $5,000 for a billboard, side of the highway. People are gonna drive by, there's no guarantee that they're gonna use you for their mortgage services. I have something for you, okay? All I'm asking is, cover half the cost of this package that is only $476. And I know that mortgage professionals sponsor shit on behalf of agents all the time and will pay for sometimes things that are not of value. Like they'll give them gifts and stuff like that. In my opinion, with this, you incentivize the mortgage lender to pay for half, and then you tell them, hey, when I add the video to Zillow, that, hey, look at this one listing, it had 11,000 views, okay, and that's in less than 10 days. I'd love to see you track the amount of views and the ROI of your billboard, of people driving by in a car, who was able to read it and actually know who you are, versus over 12,000 people on Zillow watching the video tour and seeing that intro animation, but it's co-branded.
So it's brand.
It would be co-branded with you and the mortgage guy. And then the pitch to the mortgage guy is,
That's how I found Christian.
you could spend money on, you could pay the full price, do it yourself, or if, you know, pride is not an issue, then, and you're okay with co-branding, because there are some agents where they're like, I wanna be the only face on this listing, you know, and that's it.
I'm a realtor, I don't think.
So if you co-brand it, that then drops the price for everything that I just mentioned to like sub $275. So where else are you gonna get that? And typically
You
the
have some of those
mortgage,
people, you have some of those people built in, because I saw Mark got some scenes that, you have some co-partners already kind of lined up?
We've had numerous lenders in place in which we already have this relationship in which we do shoots for. Literally, I mean, we set this up, but typically the way in which we end up actually working with someone is when a realtor is like, hey, I want to save the money, I'm going to work with my lender. And you just give them our number. You could either share this page, which is in the email that we sent to everyone, or you could just call me and say, hey, I have a lender, can you explain the program to them and see if you can get them on board so he's gonna pay for half of my thing?
How about if I already have a partner that we've already done a billboard together, and I just want to throw him on there, can I do that, or do I have to pay to do that? If I want to co-brand it with the guy that I'm working.
If you have an active listing that you have an active video for, or if it's a future listing coming up, let's say,
No, I'm gonna use you guys, I'll use you guys for the package,
we would
but
give you,
we co-brand it, me and you can do that?
we would be able to give you the branded version of the video and the non-branded version for the MLS. The branded version would be the one that is co-branded, so when you share it on social media, as well as when we add it to Zillow for you, you can then go to the lender and say like, look, you spent $500 or $2,500 on a digital billboard in the past, were you able to track it? With this, literally, you're gonna be able to see how many people have either liked it, or you're gonna be able to go to Zillow and see, wow, 10,000 plus people have looked at this property. A percentage of them watched the video. So would you rather spend thousands for the chance to be seen on the billboard, or spend a couple
For
hundred?
this particular one, he's already invested some money, so I would just want to put his,
He just wants to brand with them.
I just want brand with him, I wouldn't charge him anything for it.
No, what were we saying?
No, I just wanted to say something important.
Okay.
So
Um,
I'm not charging him.
He just wants to have
I
it.
just want to put him on.
we'd have.
Just get his information, get his
And then
headshot.
what's interesting is that there have been some situations where the lender will say like, wait, a lot of people, they want to keep track of where leads are coming from. So if a call comes in and they're like, how'd you hear about me? There have been lenders where they're like, oh, I saw you were listed as like the preferred mortgage lender alongside the agent, this property that we were looking at. So if you just get one time in which that happens, then it's like you've sealed the deal with a lender. And also, it makes other lenders become kind of like competitive, where they're like, wait, that guy's doing what? Oh, I'll do this, because everyone wants to be working with a realtor, or with a realtor that has a flow of like listings coming in. So it's kind of like a win-win, where you're giving them exposure and making them happy, and then making them think of you, like they may refer you again in the future, or et cetera. And you're getting a discount on the end marketing. And where else are you gonna be able to find all of what we've just shown you for that cost? Because if you can, I'd pay money for you to show us who's doing it for cheaper.
Very expensive. Good investment.
The only thing that could drive up costs is in the event you want to do Twilight stuff, or I mean, we also do a variety of other things like community videos. If you want to go around the town and show that you're a thought leader within your industry and that you know the area and stuff like that. So we do all of this. We do the website stuff. We can help you with Google. We can help you with social media, and we can help you with telling the story of who you are, where you live, why you're the best to service this area, and et cetera. And then kind of just keep that repeating. Typically, it's good website, good marketing content, you're sharing stuff to every single social media platform, you're doing cold calling, and there's a variety of other types of marketing that you can do, but those are like the key core important things. And then also focusing on Google, having a Google My Business listing, your own website, and preferably doing local seller ads. And then technically it's like you're doing the majority of things you could be doing to be competing with these other agents that I feel are taking away business from some agents. Just because they're doing the proper marketing, whereas if you don't do the proper marketing in this market, things are not flowing in the way that they used to. I feel it's more of a competitive sell now to convince someone to list. There's a lot more combative people that literally will rather take the for sale by owner route and give that a test. And if you can, you know, just have the strong pitch, I feel is what convinces people to use a realtor versus doing it themselves. And if you convey all this stuff, you know, it makes it quite easy to convince someone. And I can speak because I've done it numerous times, and I'm not a realtor, and I've passed those leads on to realtors who have closed the deals. So if you guys have any other questions, I think that this is kind of covered everything.
You got business cards and stuff that you're gonna.
You will have the email with everything rather than wasting paper. Everyone should have received this email.
Bottom right corner.
And it's got all, literally, it has every single link, it's got the samples, just to go through the email real quick, it's got, one thing I did not cover, but I recommend that when you guys have time that you download it and check it out. We included a Google AdWords training kit. Essentially, you click the link, you're gonna be able to download a video and 2 PDFs. The video is about 15 minutes long. Our internal SEO specialist that does all of our Google AdWords and does the AdWords on behalf of other clients that we work with, literally put this together for free. And it just will walk you through, if you don't have a website, you may not be able to do this. This would require having your own website, but just so that you are aware of what goes into it, or if, who knows, maybe command has been updated and now you can add this SEO specific content that I'm referring to, then you'll be able to watch this, refer to the PDF, and it gives you a breakdown of how to target buyers and how to target motivated sellers, just using Google. And it's just a matter of keywords. Just think about when people go to search something, are you popping up at all when someone searches for it locally? And that's what I'll end with, because it's kind of crazy how many agents do not focus on. It's like they think I work for this franchise or I work for this office, so they're gonna provide the technology and make me successful. When in reality, an office can only provide so much. Like the last piece that I found is when you treat it like an actual business and you have your own, like literally you treat it like a business. And what does any successful business have? A website, a constant flow of marketing, offering good quality customer service, and then also capturing that. That's another thing on the website. I showed you that area where it shows your past sold listings. Why not take it a step further? We can come and film you with your clients and put together a professional testimonial video. What we've done with other clients is literally when the property sells, that's the best time. Your seller is so happy. And you just say, hey, can I come with my photographer that shot your house and just get a 10-minute quick little interview of you talking about, did you enjoy working with me? And would you refer me to anyone in the future? And now imagine on a website having, like some of these teams that we work with, they have 50+ examples like that. So when they're sending stuff to someone, they're bombarded with 50 examples of past sold properties, all the original marketing content, the case study videos. So like that's the thing where it's like, if you're trying to sell, I feel selling like that is what makes it the most efficient way. And sure, you have a question?
Offer just website services, so I do my own photography
Sure.
and stuff, a lot of things.
Mhm.
But I don't my own website,
Sure.
but it would be helpful to have someone to just actually deal with, like organize the information.
We can help with building, we can help with management of existing websites in the event that it's a lot of what we do is WordPress-based websites, just because it's easy to manage and maintain. But if it's something like custom, we'd have to see and look into it if we could manage it for you. Squarespace, we should be able to do it with Squarespace. Yep.
Is that like a different part or just?
That would be based on us having a meeting and figuring out the extent of what you want to do. Is it just managing and updating content? Do you want to do Google stuff? Like we would have an exploratory initial meeting to kind of figure out exactly what you want to do and kind of explain all the things that we could do to help. And then you can kind of pick and piecemeal what it is that you want to do. Any other questions before we start wrapping stuff up? I'm just looking at the screen to see if anyone else left a question. All right, and like I said before, every single link is here. If you're looking to save money, check out the New Jersey Lender Marketing thing. We've got that discount coupon code. So regardless, even if you're not able to convince a lender to do this, you can still use that 20% off discount coupon code on that full package. And you get everything, all the quality marketing that you just saw before. But other than that, I really appreciate your time, guys. And if you have any questions, always feel free to email us or call us anytime.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
have a good one, guys.
Yeah, I get this. Really dull.
You guys for a little bit.
It's all good to go. I mean, some of it's.
Do it all.
All the stuff.
Well, Jonathan, yeah, I will show. I will do